David Oyelowo portrays Martin Luther King Jr. in Selma. Selma, directed by Ava DuVernay. This movie is based on the life of Martin Luther King Jr., particularly the march from Selma, Alabama to Montgomery, Alabama, which helped push for the Voting Rights Act, and it focuses very much on what black people had to go through to get the right to vote, because once the Civil Rights Act was passed, they did have the right to vote, but there were a lot of obstacles that the South put up in order to prevent them from voting: the eligibility tests, voting vouchers, poll taxes, and everything else. This movie covers that and shows all the struggles that Martin Luther King Jr. had to go through in order to get the Voting Rights Act passed, dealing with President Lyndon Johnson, who was played by Tom Wilkinson, and getting people to stand together and support this, and that was done very well. I really did like this movie. David Oyelowo is fantastic as Martin Luther King Jr. He does an amazing job transforming himself into this character. It is a shame that the Oscars are not recognizing his performance, because he should get an Oscar nomination. I know he got a Golden Globe nomination, but he should also get an Oscar nomination as well. Carmen Ejogo is I'm not very sure how to pronounce her last name. She plays Coretta Scott King, who is Martin Luther King Jr.'s wife. She was great in the movie as well. They had terrific chemistry in the movie, and this movie does a really good job showing the struggles Martin Luther King Jr. had with his family and how his political ambitions affected his family, as well as the fact that he was targeted by white supremacist groups and by the federal government, since the federal government was bugging his home, and that is referenced in the movie too, and the fact that even his own children were targeted. Stephen James plays John Lewis, who is a man that marched with Martin Luther King Jr. and becomes the Congressman of Georgia. He's now Congressman of Georgia. Yeah, Oprah Winfrey as Amy Lee Cooper, and she's really good in this movie too. I'm glad she only has a small role and that her role really doesn't take away from the focus of the movie. And Tim Roth plays our antagonist of the movie, Governor George Wallace of Alabama. And Tim Roth was great playing a real racist jerk. And the racism that happened during those times was done very well in this movie. I really did like that. I really did like how that was portrayed. And this is just an excellent film. The performances of this movie are really good, and there are a lot of things here that are worthy of Oscar praise. I'm glad that this movie is at least being nominated for Best Picture and Best Song. That's the best the Oscars can give us, really? Nothing for Ava DuVernay for Best Director, and nothing for David Oyelowo for Best Actor. So overall, I'm going to give this movie an A. My audience, when I saw this, gave this movie a standing ovation. Definitely check this movie out.